Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Bar Talk podcast yet again. My name is Karl from the New World Tavern in downtown Plymouth. I'm here with my good friend and buddy, Dan Mahoney.
Hello, everyone.
From the BBC in downtown Plymouth. Missing from this podcast is Jordan Chabot from the Speedwell Tavern, but his anal leakage is cleaning up nice, I heard.
I heard they use them up.
He'll be back on the next one. We are here tonight with Brenna and Matt Beane.
Hey, you went first that time, nice.
Yes, finally.
You know, I thought about that all day today. I'm like, well, alphabetically it should be Brenna, ladies first, but I just feel like it's always Matt and Brenna. So, congratulations, you moved up in the world.
You know, as Matt likes to say, I'm the older one, so yeah.
So you married an older woman.
Age before beauty, Karl. You know that.
I'm not saying anything. So tonight we wanted to talk about a couple of different things. And for those that don't know, Matt and Brenna are married. And we wanted to talk a little bit of how that dynamic works in the workplace. And a couple of questions we had were if you're working together, and I know you guys have done that in the past, is it easier for you guys to work together because you know each other so well? Is it tough because the other employees are looking at you and, hey, he's yelling at me, but he's not yelling at her, or they're not getting together, or they're getting along great? Do the customers see that maybe the animosity between you two, maybe that would happen between a husband and wife or boyfriend and girlfriend, however, you know, the dynamic works, boyfriend and boyfriend? Don't want to leave anybody out.
So proud of you, Kyle.
See?
You've grown.
Yeah.
You've grown.
Not in height.
I've been reading
just
that book.
morally.
Me, you can't. After 6'1", 6'2".
Yeah.
So I guess the first question is for Brenna. Brenna,
Yes.
can you really work with him?
Actually, I really enjoy it. He, like I said, we've been together for so long that we know how each other work and the ins and the outs and what really annoys him, when I really want to annoy him, what I can do. But for the most part, we know what to do around each other. So people say, you know, when you work a bar together, there's certain people that have a dance, like you know which way to move, which way not to move, and for the two of us, it works pretty well.
Plus, he can reach all the high stuff for you.
Yeah, see,
And
that's
you-
half
when
the
you're-
reason why I married.
Yeah, I get it.
For those that don't know Matt and Brenna, Matt's about my height. He's, you know, good 6'1", maybe 6, actually a couple inches taller than me, so you've got to be at least 6'7". And
I'm short.
Just about.
Yeah. So, you know, me and Matt, we reach a lot of the same things.
You have reaching contests, don't you?
Oh, yeah.
Like reach for the stars is a real thing for you.
Yeah.
Yep. I reach for my beer when it's on his head. I still can't reach it, but I got to
Yep.
jump.
That's why you play William Tell.
Sure. So, is it easier to work with him than somebody else? And I guess the question is, if you work so well with Matt behind the bar, and then you work with another bartender, is it that much worse? Because now that other bartender really doesn't know.
For me, I'm a bull in like a china shop. When I'm bartending, I'm a force. Like, so there are only certain people that I can work with. So working with Matt, like I've got only probably like one or two other people that I can work behind a bar with that don't get in my way. So that's, I mean, the best way to put it.
Matt, what's your take?
Well, we work together great because every time we've worked together, I've been the boss.
Yeah, I like to have that in my face every time.
So that's very easy for me. No, it's true, and I've realized, because, like you know, Karl, being big guys, it's tough being behind a bar sometimes because you think you take up so much space. So for me, whenever I'm working with, because I've worked with other women that are the size of Brenna that don't necessarily move like she does. Like she said, when she gets a drink order, she turns the corner and she walks to where she needs to go.
And that size is petite for everybody. Just in case there was any questions. That size is petite.
But she's got a commanding force back there, which is great to see on the other side of the bar because you know she knows what she's doing. It's not like, let me think what's in that drink. I don't know where I need to go. She, as soon as she takes a drink order, knows where she's going. And so for me to know that is great because I know that even if I'm here making a drink and I can see her out of the corner of my eye coming, I know I got to move because she's coming in and she's going to make her drink and she's going to get over there. And it's great because I know she does her job correctly, and we never bump into each other because I feel like that I move. No matter what.
Sometimes I purposely bump into him.
Yeah. She'll give the elbow, the knee in the back of the knee. And
Just headbutt him right there.
Harassment. But I guess it's not harassment if you like it.
And if you're married, right? Because that
Yeah, can you do
It's
that?
better or worse,
I don't
right?
think you yeah.
I haven't got to that part in my book.
Right.
Right. You're still at the worst part.
And you guys work at much different bars. I mean, right now you're at the Pillory Pub, down on the waterfront in Plymouth. Which, how would you describe the place?
Definitely a neighborhood pub. Like, I wouldn't call us a dive bar, but I also wouldn't call us a tourist trap either. Sorry. We're just kind of nestled right in between. We've got some really nice cocktails. We've got some really awesome craft beer lately. So we're hiding in the middle.
But you're a little more casual than I say where Matt works now is at Dillon's Local.
Yep.
Again, downtown Plymouth.
Yep.
Right off the waterfront.
Yep.
Describe Dillon's for us.
So Dillon's tries to be, and it is, your local Irish pub, and that's kind of what they put forward between the menu, what we have, what we offer, but they've also got a very strong bartender and server skill set where they're extremely heavy in their craft cocktails, which is great because it's something that previously I had not a lot of experience in. So for me, it's always been craft beer, craft beer, craft beer. There they have 12 lines, so it's crazy for when people come in, they're like, what do you have on draft? And I can name off the 12 lines, and they're like, wow, you must practice that a lot. I'm like, no, I'm just used to like 30 drafts in 150 bottles, so 12 drafts is easy for me, but Dillon's tries to do comfort food done right. I like to tell people all the time that when you come into Dillon's, whether you come in, today, tomorrow, and then you come back 6 months, 8 months, a year, you're going to get the same meal every time you come in, and consistency is probably the thing. It's not upscale dining, like we don't wear button-down shirts, and we have cloth napkins, but it's meant to be a locals hangout almost, because that's what it is. It's not so much tourists where she's kind of on the waterfront. We're waterfront adjacent, I guess, and we don't get those customers that are here like getting loaded off the buses, and then that's what they're looking for is like, what do you have for like chowder and clam strips and lobster rolls? That's not kind of what we do. We do more of your hearty comfort food, shepherd's pie, stuff like that.
So you guys must see two different clienteles. One is more of a dinner place for food, and the other one more is a light fare place. What kind of stories do you guys go home to when you work at different bars? Do you go home and say, oh my God, do you know what happened to Pillory today? Or do you know what happened to Dillon's today? Or, or do you guys just shut down and not talk about business at all?
Every day. Every day. It's literally going home being like, oh my God.
Listen to this shit.
Yeah, we had this. And then it's usually followed up by, like, you think that's bad? Listen to my story. And then it's like, goes back and forth. There are some days, though, we literally walk home and we're like,
nope.
Don't talk to me. Literally, nope, that's off. Yeah, okay, we're done. Like,
we do it. There's days where we purposely, we're in a different situation because we live downtown. I live a half mile from Dillon's, and she lives a mile from Pillory, so we're always there, no matter what. There's days that we look at each other and like, let's get out of Plymouth. Not that there's anything wrong with anything that's going on in Plymouth, but it's like, let's get away. Let's not go somewhere that we know someone.
It's hard to live in the business you're working in.
Right, and especially it being in the hospitality service industry where you have to be on all the time that you're working. When you go out and grab a burger or a sandwich or something, you grab lunch, you don't want to be on. Like, you just want to be able to like sit there, maybe not know anybody in the place, but have a meal and just be kind of left alone. And it's tough sometimes because we are that close. It's just like, let's just go downtown, and we have to talk ourselves out of it and be like, no, let's try and get away. But Plymouth itself has a very, very strange dynamic. I'm 32. I've been working in bars since I was 18, and I've never seen an area similar to Plymouth, where everybody gets along, everybody talks to each other. Even though there might be bars that maybe you don't go to or you don't know somebody that works there. You have New World and BBC and Pillory and Dillon's, and then Jordan is at Speedwell. We all get along, we all talk, we can all go out and have a beer together. It's a very different dynamic, which makes it hard to kind of leave, but at the same time, you need to get away. And Jordan's done the same thing where he's just kind of had to remove himself a little bit because you get burned out.
You get caught up.
Yeah, in this industry, you're always going to get burned out.
And for those people that don't know Matt that are out there, might know Brenna. So whenever you guys go out, even if somebody doesn't know one of you, they know the other one.
They always know Matt.
Oh, yeah,
There's been so many times that we've gone out and be like, "Oh, miss, can I see your ID?" Like, "Yeah, sure, whatever. I'm 32. Yes, here's my ID. Thank you so much." Matt walks in. We're like, "Oh, hey, Matt, how you doing?" And I was like,
And then I walk into,
What?
"Oh yeah, I'll have this beer," and they walk away, and I lean to Brenna and I go, "Who was that?" And she goes, "I don't know. I was asked for my ID," and I feel bad, but like you know, Karl, being a big guy, you just get recognized for who you are.
You have a commanding presence. It's hard to hide in plain sight for you guys.
"Oh, we all know who Karl is."
Oh yeah.
So we want to talk about what's happening in the industry, and we've talked about this with just about all our podcasts that we go on. What right now, from what I see, is on the beer side is super local, super local, super local. They don't care what the beer is, what the style is. They want the closest beer that they can have, and they want what they haven't had yet. What is the food and the liquor side of that? Where do you guys see that going? What's the next big thing for those two things?
Liquor right now is a lot of people are doing the same thing. They want craft. They want something that's cool. They want to see something lit on fire. Like a lot of like, what bitters are you using, or this, or what specific brand or non-brand thing that they've never heard of, and they want like, oh, that just sounds cool. I'll take that. That version I've seen the cocktail side go, which is really tough for me because I create the cocktail list. So I've got to figure out what they're ordering, or what are they gonna order, or.
But don't you find that to be the worst thing as a bartender? Because this guy wants something smoked and on fire and flaming, and you got three people behind him going, "I just want a Bud Light. Can you get that out of line?"
Right, exactly. And that's where it depends on which bar you go to. Whereas, like I said, you come into my bar, I'm doing a little bit trying to appease everyone. Whereas, and you can go more into Dillon's and get a little bit more craft or side of that. Not saying that my drinks aren't craft, but yours are a little bit more.
Yeah, and
Finesse?
it's
I say yours are built more for speed because you
Yeah.
can get a tour bus come in and crush
Right.
you and all
Absolutely.
nothing. Where
I'm
Matt,
built
you
for
might
power.
exactly you just flex on everyone with those giant ice cubes and whiskey and stuff.
I think it's strange because, and I feel like it has a lot to do with quote unquote the hipster movement, because they read about these cocktails that they've heard about or they've seen in movies somewhere, and it's strange for me because a lot of these cocktails were first pioneered during Prohibition, where you were having spirits that were filled with formaldehyde and all these other things that you had to dress it up because you couldn't drink it straight, and if you did, you went blind or there was health issues with it. Where it's now, I get people that come in all the time and ask me for the top shelf bourbon and then want an old fashioned. I'm like,
Why?
which,
Why
to
are
me,
you diluting it?
I don't get it. I mean, like I said, I'm a big craft beer guy, but the other side of that for me is single malt Scotch. I want to taste what I want to taste. Like I order that stuff to know what it tastes like, and I want to drink that. I don't want something that I have to add bitters and cherry and sugar and this and that and the other thing, and then top it with soda water and burn a lemon peel on it. And I feel like you're getting away from the heart of the spirit, which I want to drink. Even she does the same thing with Brenna does the same thing with bourbon, where she drinks bourbon, but she drinks it on a rock or with a little bit of ice into it so that she can taste it. And I feel like so many people have gotten away from that to order like the next cool thing. Or I can tell you one of the I was bartending once and someone came to the bar and ordered a Scarlet O'Hara from me. And I racked my brain, and this was probably 4 or 5 years ago, so I've been in it for about 9 to 10 years, and I'm like, Scarlet O'Hara. And I can't, for the life of me, I can't think of it. So I lean into the guy and I'm like, "Hey, I'm sorry about this. I don't know what that drink is. SoCo and cranberry and a lime." What? Like what? That's how you have to order that?
Could have had your drink by now.
Right. But all the time that it took you to say Scarlet O'Hara and then explain to me what it is, you couldn't have just said what it is. So I think a lot of it is trying to order, I don't know, things that you've heard before. And you just want to be cool to be able to say that I can order that beer now, or I can order that drink now because I know what's in it.
All his friends, he'd be like, "Well, you don't know what a Scarlet O'Hara is? I get it all
This
the time."
guy doesn't know what a Scarlet O'Hara is, right?
Or
here.
Sazerac. I mean, people ask for the Sazerac all the time, and then they want like the top shelf booze. I'm like, that's not what that drink was based around. That drink was based around bad spirits that you had to dress up. So when you do that, it's like people that come into the bar and ask for a Grey Goose Bloody Mary.
A top shelf margarita. It's like, yeah, let me just put all my juice and
Right.
Yeah.
For
salt
what?
in that.
You're not tasting what you're paying for.
Yep.
And I feel like that's the big trend now, is to just be able to order things because you can order them. It's not so much enjoying what you're ordering. You just heard it and you want to say it.
Right.
You know?
Right.
And then in regards to food, I mean, there are some places in town here that have some insane, amazing food that draw people out, that make them want to try it. Whereas in other
Well,
places,
now, can you say that for exactly what Matt said about the drinks? He orders a scotch because he wants to taste the scotch. He doesn't want all the dressings, all this, all that. Do you feel that that's the same with the food, or do you find that on some of these restaurants that you go out to, it's, you know, oh, I've got this sauce and I've got the avocado spread on it and I've got this on it and I got that on it. I just wanted a steak. I didn't want, you know, do you find that to be, or do people really want the latest and greatest in the food industry?
I think you've got actually best of both worlds, because there are so many places in town that we can do that. So we can go to such a place and get this crazy newest tradition thing, or not traditional thing, but newest, craziest, fanciest fave, or we can go to another place down the street and just get your traditional steak. Like, whereas you know what you're going for each place. So if you're saying, I'm going to the New World Tavern, I know I'm going to get myself a burger, I'm going to get some wings, I'm going to get some great solid dishes, where I can go to another place down the street and get this, you know, $60 steak that we're going to thoroughly enjoy. But you know where you're going. You're not going to this place and being like, oh, well, that is what they're serving.
Mm-hmm.
No, you're researching now. That's what the other thing is. A lot of people are looking into menus online, what they want for the night, and if they have what they want, then they're going.
I think it's young versus old too, and I don't mean that.
What do you mean by old?
I don't mean that. And
You're
I don't
not
mean
very
that.
old,
I don't mean
Carl.
that negatively. It's the same thing that, you know, you get these guys that come into the bar and go, yeah, I'll have a Bud Light on draft. They don't even look at the tap system. They don't look at the list. They just know that that's what they drink because that's what their father drank, or Budweiser because that's what their father drank, that's what he drank, that's what everybody drinks. And I feel food is very similar, where people come in and it's a window company that's like, you know, you got the king crab flambe, or you go down the street and get eggplant parm because you know you're going to like eggplant parm. I feel like it's two generations. The young kids want to try what's new, what have we seen on any of the billion cooking channels that are
Like Food
available
Network.
now, you know, or what are we, you know, or the older crowd that are just like, I just want steak and potatoes. Like, can I get like steak and potatoes here? And like, I don't want the Szechuan chili paste on it, and I don't want, you know, all these things added to the potatoes. I just want my steak and potatoes. So I think it's a tough mix. You're never going to hit clientele right on the nail on the head anymore. I don't think that exists anymore because the clientele has changed.
Well, it's so tough to please everyone. You're going to kill yourself doing it, and I think that was any regard of any part of the business. You can't. It's like, all right, everyone's getting something. Like, you can hopefully have enough, but
Right.
you're not going to win them all.
Yep.
So true.
And sometimes people come in and maybe it's not, they come to try it, but maybe it's just not the right restaurant or
Yep.
bar for
Right.
them. You know, that's great you came in. I appreciate you giving me a chance, but, you know, we don't have whatever it may be that they're looking for. Maybe down the street's probably more of your.
And that's the best thing that Matt said earlier about this town, is that we really do. Like, we have a great amount of restaurants, and we do have a great friendship. So if you want a burger, I'm sending you here. If you want wings, I'm sending you here. If you want a pizza, you're going here. Like, we all support each other, which is huge. Because normally everyone's like, oh, don't go to that place. That place is terrible.
Well, there's still some of those places.
It's true. We're not naming any names.
We just don't name them. We just don't tell you to go there or tell you not
We're
to go
actually
there.
going there after this podcast.
See where that shadow is? You don't go over there.
Now, do you have trouble? So you take, 3 months off in between seasons from Pillory being
Yeah, I get
closed?
4 months.
Now, do you have any trouble kind of picking up what's going on then? Because a lot can happen in 4 months. So
What you mean with trends going on?
with the trends, yeah, I mean,
You know, absolutely. That's a great question. A lot of people do ask me that. And
I ask great questions too, you know. You didn't say that.
Sometimes.
you ask questions
Yeah, right.
in a great amount.
You just want to hear yourself talk.
Participation trophy, Carl. Okay.
But no, it's tough. So in the winter, I'm lucky enough I will pick up shifts all around town. So I get a little bit of dabble in what's going on. But for myself, I actually do a lot of research in the wintertime to see what is coming up, what new brewery is coming out, what new cool craft cocktail or spirit is coming into town that I can try to bring in. Normally, with running a bar, with managing a bar, I'm starting to meet with my reps on usually around February or March to try to get in. Being that we see that we open sometime in April, I'm usually reaching out to them that time to see if there is anything cool that came out, anything that I really need to know about, and vice versa.
Yeah, it's be tough. I mean, you can watch 5 new breweries pop up in a month.
Seriously.
And you come back to work, you're like, who the hell are you?
And either everybody wants them or nobody wants them.
It's really true because it's tough. Like I've been really lucky this year to meet and become friends with a lot of the local craft beer guys. But it's true. Like you said, Karl. Like the first thing people walk in through my doors is, "What's your local beer?"
Yep.
Well, actually, this year I can say that probably out of the 16 lines that I have been all local. And then we also offer a bunch of local cans as well that still give people options. But that's what it is. Local. Don't care what it is.
Nope.
Or what local IPA do you have?
Right.
That's got to be tough. Like, how do you pick, because you said you're away from someone, how do you pick up, who you're going to do a lot of more business with? That you kind of hold, auction off when you start off? I'm like, all right, guys, going once, going twice.
It really is actually tough. Because there are so many great craft breweries out there right now.
Yep.
That you go with what has been selling throughout, or what's the hype. Like everyone can agree, vitamin C is huge right now, and that's people will come in and be like, whatever you have on draft, I'll take that. So with them now building their brew house, what do you do? How do you fight with these guys? How do you get someone from, say, Lagunitas? Which is a great name. How do you compare? Everyone knows they're going to drink that staple, but now what's the newest and coolest thing do you have coming in?
These pop-up breweries that you're talking about, and I agreed with you 100% that there's a lot of pop-up breweries coming in, and they're all doing, from what we see, is pretty good business, and they're all making pretty good beer. Some really, really good, but nobody makes really bad beer.
Hopefully.
As somebody who runs and decides on what goes on draft in your bar, how do you make that jump from a local brew pub has just opened up down the street and they're pulling your customers away? Because they are. I mean, anybody that goes to another place is somebody that might not be at your place. What do you think about carrying their beer when they're taking away your business? And it's a fight that we have at the New World Tavern, because we want to support the local guys, but then I don't want my customers going to their breweries, because then they're not at my bar drinking it. They're at their breweries. So they're really competitors that you're just giving money to take customers out of your bar. I mean, what's your take on that?
I think, it actually, like they said before, when it goes down to the friendships that we've all created such friendships with all these breweries now that they're sending people there, whether it be word of mouth or whether it be social media, vice versa, either way. So say, we got these guys right down the street, we've got their beer right here. If you want something else really cool, this is the place to go. They've got that in draft, or and vice versa for those guys. Those were like, oh, you like our beer? Go support the other guys right down the street. They also carry our beer. Get something to eat while you're there.
So you're saying just because they're a pop-up and maybe they're taking their customers away, it's more bringing in additional people to the area that they may send your way. So, yeah, they might be taking customers away, but they're also sending your customers too?
Yes, absolutely. Because I know we're very lucky enough that we have Second Wind down the street. I know both the guys and for myself and the staff that work for me, that we're both sending everyone every which way. And same thing with Mayflower. Where's the Mayflower Brewery? What can we do? Oh, it's right down the street. This is how you get there. And I know the people in the tap room are doing the same exact thing. Oh, you want to see our beer? Go to this place. And like I said, grab something to eat to support.
You can find those guys sitting at one of our bars
Yeah,
most of the time,
absolutely.
too. So it's like,
Yes.
oh, hey, you're the guy that made my beer
Yep.
that I was drinking
Yep.
right now.
If
So
you need beer, just walk around and you'll find one of them.
yeah, it's a good Friday. But what about you, Matt? You're not so seasonal, but do you have to go home and give Brenna the report of what's going on now?
No, like she said, she stays well tuned into it because she's always been somewhere during the winter, whether Pillory closes, and she's come to work at New World or Speedwell or somewhere else, she's always been in tune with it. And I think people ask all the time, like, oh, how does that work with the two of you being in the industry together? And I think it works great because we help each other. She'll have questions about beer that I can answer for her, and I'll have questions about cocktails that she can answer for me. And we run on the same schedules. I mean, that's the biggest thing. Whenever you hear people say, like, oh, I dated a bartender in the past and it didn't work out. Well, you work a 9 to 5. She works a 5 to 2. You know what I mean? And
But you guys have also been brought up and together with it. So it's not like you got married and then you guys started working at a bar together.
Yeah, no,
You guys slowly kind of grew into it.
I was the bartender that took home the bouncer.
Nice.
Really?
Yeah.
That's how we met.
Who was that?
Eight
Oh,
years
Matt.
ago.
Yeah.
That time she met me. No, so I think it's great.
She dumped him and ended up going over with you.
Look at that. Second place.
It's not bad.
Hey, I'll take it.
Trophy's a trophy.
Yeah, silver is fine. Silver's great. No, I think it's tough for her being seasonal, but it's also tough for us being year round. We don't get to deep clean the restaurant like she gets to. We don't get to like shut down, give the staff kind of a break.
Not have to talk to people.
From dealing with people, because this industry, and it's changed. And I mean, like I said, like I started at 18, but I was just working the door, and I feel like now, being either a server or bartender, being something in the front of the house at a restaurant, you're a psychiatrist, which you've always been. I mean, I feel like psychologists. I mean, you've always been that for people, but now it seems like you have to be their dietitian, and you have to know, what they like, what they don't like, as far as like, oh, I like East Coast IPAs, but not West Coast IPAs, and I like juicy things, but I don't want it to be unfiltered and look like orange, and you have so much on your plate now that I think people don't understand when they think bartender 15 years ago. Bartender 15 years ago, opening you a beer, pouring one of the 5 domestic drafts, or making you a vodka soda or Captain and Coke. Like, that's what bartending was. And bartending's not that anymore. Bartending has gone 180 degrees in a different direction, where now you have, like I said, you have to be everything to everybody when you're there. And then they want to talk to you about everything, and they want to know. I have people come into the bar and ask me, so we're looking to get dinner after this. Where should we go?
Oh, that's my favorite.
And I don't have to look at them, like I can't look at them and say, oh, you're in a place that serves dinner right now. I have to be like, well, what are you looking for? What can I help you with? And then, but I've always felt for years and years and years that that's better doing it that way than doing it the other way, where if somebody says like, oh, I'm looking for seafood, where should I go? Well, here, let me help you out, because now these people are going to remember that, oh, the bartender over there told me, where I could go, and I had this great meal, and let's go back over there and see him again. So I think it's, like I said, I think it's changed, and you can speak to it as well, Karl, having experience in the industry, that it is kind of a night and day difference working at bars now.
Oh, yeah, no doubt about it. If somebody came up 15 years ago and said, what can I get? I have a gluten-free allergy, or however you phrase that. People would be like,
I go, what?
Yeah, well, I'm not sure what gluten is.
Here's some ice water.
Yeah.
I would say, hey, really? Because I'm allergic to poison ivy. Just trying to get the conversation.
So I stay out of the woods.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. I mean, back when I was a kid in the bars around when I first started going out drinking, it was Bud, Miller, High Life, I think it was.
You had Schlitz, don't
Blue
you?
Moon was just coming out. No, that was nice. I can't even tell you the beers I had. You'd be laughing at me. But, there was no craft beer on, and all of a sudden Sam Adams kind of popped up, and, I had friends that drank Sam Adams, and I'm like, oh, what are you, la-di-da now? You're drinking a Sam Adams?
You fancy motherfucker.
That cost $3.50. What kind of money are you making? But yeah, you would get a 10-ounce or a 12-ounce glass of draft beer, and it was whatever draft was on there.
And going off of that, what you're saying, like now these days, like you said, like $3.50 for a beer. Now these days, you're doing a 10-ounce pour for $10, and people are like,
Yep.
I don't care.
Yep.
Yeah.
Not even like blinking an eye at it. Like,
Yep. And it's not that you were overcharging. It's
No.
that's how
much it
expensive
costs,
the beer is. Yeah.
But then you get the older clientele that are like, wait, what? $10?
$3 for
Do I
a
get-
Bud Light. This is
Do I get
ridiculous.
to take it home with me?
Right.
Like, why is it $10? And then you have to explain to everybody.
then you get the old timers that come to me for, oh my god, a $2 PBR. This is the best day ever.
Yes.
Right?
All right, so a lot of times on our podcast, we have a vast array of listeners out there. that like to send emails to us with questions about the industry. So right now, Andy's going to read a few questions and answer them as honestly as you can without making fun of me.
I really love Karl.
That's impossible.
He said honestly. The first one is from Samantha Midgley. I'm sure I'm botching that last name, but says my manager doesn't allow employees to have their phones visible in their back pocket. I honestly don't understand why. Thoughts? And then she adds, I'm not using it, it's just in my back pocket. So it sounds like she's got a guilty conscience.
Can I go first?
You go first.
Both of us like, hold on, wait.
Because this is probably one of my, when I was managing, this is one of my pet peeves that I just can't get over, and I actually changed a screensaver on one of the server's computers that said, stay off your phone. And I get that it's in your back pocket, but why do you need it in your back pocket if you're not using it? That doesn't make sense to me. And you shouldn't be on your phone. Your job as a server is to serve the people that are there, and I never understood this with some servers that choose to hide out in the service station. All your money's out on the floor, and you make as much money as you choose to make. And then, at the end of the night, it's like, well, I didn't make that much money. Well, you spent half an hour in the service station just playing on your phone or just sitting there, not dealing with your customers. I think your phone should just be locked away.
Whereas then I'm going to counteract that saying, I think you should have your phone on you because you should not be on your phone texting your friend or, what are you going to have for dinner? But there are so many craft beers and craft cocktails out there now that you need, like, oh, what's this beer? I don't know. Hold on, let me go on my phone. Oh, I'm going to Untapped or something. Be like, well, it's got this hop, that hop, this hop, this hop. That's it. Like you checking on your phone. It's like your phone's an encyclopedia now for the industry.
But how do you see other people perceiving that? So if you're a bartender on your phone and somebody down the end of the bar is waiting for a drink and all of a sudden you jump on your phone for reasons that you think are what you should be doing, and that guy's like, I've been trying to get a drink and this friggin' bartender's on her phone.
Right. And you know what? I have done it myself. I mean, like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. The person had a question about a beer that I didn't know the answer to, so I had to look it up quickly. 9 times out of the 10, they'd be like, oh my God, no problem. I'll just have this.
Yep. No, you got to be vigilant with that. It's with anything in the bar. You have to make sure you're paying attention to your bar and try not to sit on one person, like in one spot to see it. But you can use your phone for a prop. I've sat there and showed someone pictures of my trip to Scotland for a half hour, and they stayed and had a couple more beers and talked to me about my trip. So
don't lie, you were showing them pictures of snarls.
Not yet. Well, that's just Karl. I just make him T-shirts of snarls. But I think if you use it right, you can do it. But at the same time, like it shouldn't be seen. Like you could have it in a front pocket, or like if you're most waitresses or waiters have aprons, put it in the front pocket of your apron, kind of hide it. But also don't be sitting there texting where we can all see you, so it's tough.
But again, I think sometimes it's just what the customers perceive you.
Oh, perception's tough. I mean,
Yeah. All they're gonna say is Brenna's on her phone, and that bartender's on the phone, and I've been trying to get a drink, and she's talking to that customer and showing her pictures on her phone. That's all they see. They don't see you looking up something and doing this and doing that.
Right.
So I'm gonna say I'm with Matt. I'm stay off your phone.
But it's like you said, you're speaking from the bartender's side of it. Why does a server need it? That's why they have a bartender.
Oh, server can
That's
ask
true.
the same question.
But that's why they have a bartender. I've had so many servers that have their phones on them, and they come up to me and they go, "What's a gimlet?" Well, I saw you texting on your phone. You couldn't look it up. So it's different. It's different being a server and being a bartender and doing it that way. And like I said, I don't think you should have to lock people's phones away forever. I feel like you should, but at the same time, you should be an adult. And that's what it breaks down to right now. And
Right.
millennials can't get away from their phone. Like, that's the worst part now, is that they're so attached to their phones that it's like taking a limb away.
Right. Next question.
Matt,
next.
I'm just looking up the questions on my phone, I swear. All right, this one comes from Kelly Nichols. It says, anyone else get stuck on a word or phrase, then you say it like 9 million times to a table and feel ridiculous and walk away thinking about how annoying you might be, but you can't stop. Mine are usually perfect, sounds good, I'll get that started for you, and great.
I can't speak half of the time, so half the time I'm saying, was that just a word?
Yep.
Stroke
Really?
it out. Stroke it out.
I'm not even sure what the question was.
Thank you. Thank you for me. Like, people will say, like, oh, thank you, have a great night. And I'm just like, thank you. And then as I pick up the bill, I'm like, thank you. And I'm like, I just said thank you.
Yeah.
Stop saying thank you. You don't need to say thank you over and over again. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a good thing to like have the word over and over be said because all you're doing is thanking the person. But it's like, oh, how's your day? Oh, good, thank you.
Well, is there something as a customer going into a restaurant that you don't want to hear over and over?
Excuse me?
I'm sorry.
When you
Yeah.
get a minute?
I'm sorry, it's a great one. No, I mean, it's weird because you don't think of these things here, but I guarantee all of us go to the bar tomorrow and start working, and then you're like, there's that fucking word again.
Yep.
Why do they have to keep saying it? Oh, hello, hi. When somebody says hi to you?
Yep.
Yeah.
Hi.
You work with somebody for 8 hours a day, and every time you turn the corner and see them, they're just like, hi. And you're like,
We already did this
we've
today.
done this. We've done this. Maybe something different. Do it in different languages, and we'll kind of learn Spanish together or something.
I like that, Learning is fundamental, so why not take it
But
into
any
the
kind of
job
phrase
base?
that waitress would say to you guys as customers?
I'll be right back. Because you won't be. And I know you won't be. Which is fine, and I get that a lot of times you're
So
stressed.
you would rather, hi folks, I'll be right with you, than I'll be right back?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I'll be right back means that, to me, being in the service industry means that you don't know how to manage your time. Because you're telling me that you'll be right back, and then I see you go over to the next table and be like, yeah, I'll be right back. And then they're gone. And it's like, you don't know how to manage your time and be able to get to places, and you're just going to say that, and then we'll sit here for 15 minutes before we see you again. And
Probably
I
on
think,
their phone playing Space Invaders
Right?
or whatever these
Like
kids
Andy.
do these days.
Yep.
Fortnite.
Whatever.
Did you say Space Invaders? All right.
I like it.
Hi, Matt.
Hey.
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 Hola, Matt.
Hola.
All right, so this next one comes from Matt Poirier. So the restaurants I work at are cutting out straws as much as possible. You can still get one on request. Is this a thing everywhere now? And then he goes on to say, also, I gotta love customers who claim they need a straw because they refuse to drink from the same rim as other people, despite the fact that they see no issue using the same fork as other.
Like your thing.
This is another big pet peeve because people do realize that the plastic straw thing, the U.S. accounts for like 0.06% of all plastic in the ocean, and of that 0.06%, 0.00001% are straws. So you're literally doing the least amount of work to keep plastic out.
Sounds like you've been asked about straws a lot.
My niece asked me, and she goes, well, you're drinking out of a plastic straw, and you really shouldn't do that. And I go, what else are you doing the least amount of work to fix the problem? Because that's what we're doing right now. It has nothing to do, and you have people that have sensitive teeth.
Yeah, but somebody saw a turtle with a straw up their nose
Yep.
on the interweb, and now you can't use straws.
You'd be better off with the six-pack rings.
cut those up.
Those are a bigger issue than straws are. But nobody's trying to ban those, and nobody's going to the bars and saying, "Oh, you shouldn't be ordering those, 16-ounce tall boy cans because they come with those on there," and that's what gets stuck around the necks.
Around dolphins.
No, you're lazy. You're doing the least amount of work possible to fix a
So
much
keep the
bigger
straws.
problem. Keep the straws. There's nothing wrong with the straws.
And as regards to I don't want to drink a glass from someone else's, that's what we call dishwashers for. They sanitize.
If you-
Sometimes
yeah.
if you got lipstick though.
Yeah, that was late.
All the
I will say
refreshing
that.
people are going to be on us on this one, huh?
If you're that worried about the sanitation of the glasses, you probably
I went out to
don't wanna go there
California
anyway.
recently, and they don't give you any straws. No, there's just no straws.
It's better than paper straws.
There's
I'm not gonna lie, I have metal straws. That's what I use. But
At home or at the bar?
at home,
It's not.
you've seen my cup, Carl.
It's
Jesus.
not. It's not feasible. It's honestly not feasible. And you're trying, like I said, you're trying to fix. The dam is breaking,
right,
and
listen.
you see this little.
Poor Matt Poirier was just asking a question about straws.
You didn't know this is Matt's soapbox right
Matt,
now?
Matt, this is just stupid.
Shut your mouth, Matt.
You're putting a Band-Aid on a breaking dam because that's not the problem. And if it's more people that are worried about the plastic in the ocean that's ruining the environment and everything else like that, and then they want to ban straws. And it's like, why don't you do some of the other things to ban plastics from going in there? Why are sodas still in 2-liter plastic bottles that aren't biodegradable? And why is this little piece of plastic the biggest issue?
It's those fucking turtles.
It is. You gotta save the turtles.
Next.
This one comes from Lee Ball, and it says, just curious, how many of you enjoy being the closing server, and what are some of the perks you see in it?
You don't have to open.
Hopefully.
Yes, we do
Close
a lot
open.
of we do a lot of clopens. What do you think? Because you close basically every night.
Yeah, the closing server though, I don't know, it's tough. Like, yes, you get to like cocktail at the end of the night, you get to make that extra little bit of money, but also you're potentially dealing with the asshole at the end of the night that needs to be shut off. And
But is it a closing server? Because usually in the industry, a closing bartender will actually close the building.
right? Yeah.
So a closing server could come in at 5 and leave at 8 and make all their money in 3 hours
Oh,
and leave.
absolutely.
That could be a great bonus because the bartender's cutting them because it's getting slower at night.
It's the side work, I think. I think the question
Side
is,
work's a good one.
is the issue. I think the side work is what the question's kind of geared towards, because how many times do you come in for serving a bartending shift at the 5 o'clock changeover, and then you get busy and you're doing everything else, and all of a sudden you look over and there's no silverware.
Right.
Yeah.
Why is there no silverware? The day crew didn't do anything, and now you have to make a decision as a bartender, as a server, as whatever. Are you going to screw the next people coming in and say, well, no silverware is rolled for me, why am I going to roll it for anyone
You
else?
start the endless cycle.
And that's the problem with it. It's always an endless cycle, and you only end up hurting yourself, because then people down the line, you just keep getting hit with it, and it never catches itself back up until somebody
It's the
just
same thing
finally...
with slicing fruit.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. Completely agree.
Stocking beers, all that fun stuff.
Next.
All right, this one comes from Amanda Cardens. Let's go with that. What's everyone's way for squatters to get up?
When I used to work at another place, the bouncer and I would turn on Michael Bolton radio. And I guarantee you, if anyone under the age of like 30, 35 was there, they were immediately out the door. On the flip side, if anyone was over 40, 45 years old, they thought it was the best night.
They're
of their
singing
lives.
with you.
Yeah, they're singing every song that I don't even know, and
I tried that once, and that's exactly what happened to me. I was like, Michael Bolton radio, perfect, get everyone out. Oh no. Every drunk person, they were like, oh no.
Minute
I'm like, get out.
That's
What
when
are
you turn on
doing?
Wu-Tang.
And that's what we did.
See, we tried doing like the Minions songs and like the ones that don't have words, and all it did was annoy the shit out of me. So I don't know. Like in theory, it sounds good. Yeah,
you hurt yourself more than you're hurting the crowd.
But now I'm even more agitated. What about you, Carl?
I just have a really loud voice.
What's the
and I just
best way to
yell.
get you out of a bar?
How do you get squatters out of the bar?
Yeah.
Carly's the squatter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shows
that's-
up.
So, Carl, how do you get
Why
out
would
of
you
the
want
bar?
them out? Next question.
All right, this one's from Michael Lynn. Does anyone know the legality of a bar owner not paying a bartender her or his, I would suppose, credit card tips for the shift she worked because the owner feels the bartender's credit card tips were too high?
I think that's pretty illegal.
That's super
Yeah.
illegal.
Yeah.
I know that you can't hold them, but if you don't have enough cash in the draw, there's always been that kind of agreement where you can come back and pick them up, but not having there's no legality like
You can't take someone's tips away. If they get tipped, it's their tips. The restaurant can't say the customer tipped you too much. I'm taking it.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially credit cards. It's all written out. Like there's no
Now,
question.
I mean, there's different things too where you can say, okay, the customer tipped that waitress, but there was 2 other waitresses that were helping and they were pooling tips, maybe something like that. But yeah, if somebody comes up and you give them a $20 tip on a $10 bill, then that's
your tip.
That's
Right,
their
that's
keep.
what they got.
Yeah.
Yep.
They really like Matt's smile that day.
Well,
Yeah.
let's
He's got
Right.
kind eyes.
I know, that's it.
Let's take that to another level. A whole different question that I think we discussed on another podcast was, it's the industry standard or the norm is for a bartender to take their tips at the end of the night, pocket them, and leave, as long as they tell the bar or restaurant that what those are, because we all pay taxes. So
Wink, wink.
there are some places that you claim your taxes and you claim your tips but never take them, and they give them to you on your paycheck. Do you see that happening around the industry?
No.
That
Not
seems to
anymore.
be I want to say a latest thing, but things I'm hearing more and more of is your tips will be in your paycheck. You don't get paid every day, you get paid once a week.
I haven't heard that. Not anything locally, anyway.
But I've heard of that before, and I think you drive out the people that do this for a reason. The people that bartend for a reason and have been bartending for years do it so they get cash in their hand at the end of the night.
Right.
And that's why they do it. As soon as you move to holding that and just saying like, oh, you'll get everything in your paycheck, they can't hold your cash.
Right, no, so there's a lot of people now that you will say, like, oh, I'm going to tip cash on the bill. That way they can't take your credit card slip. Like, sometimes, like, yeah, I've heard, like,
You don't
a
get
day
taxed on it.
hold of credit card tips, and then the next day you go and you get a cash out, but not, you have to claim
I
everything.
haven't heard that in the
I've heard the credit card tips on your paycheck, and you don't see it very often. Like, I don't really know anywhere that does it. And I think doing that, you're going to drive out, like, a lot of your professional bartenders. Like,
Well, I think maybe it's for more of a pool-tipped crew. So if you have a bigger restaurant and all the waitresses are pooled on tips, but this one already left and this one's gone, so they don't really figure out who made what until the end of the night, maybe that's the reason why they're doing that.
I think that
I've
should
done
go
that, yeah.
more to Matt, because that's what happens with you guys now.
Yeah, but that's at the end of the night. They pool everything, and then the last server, does your hourly rate.
Yep.
So you do it by the hour, and then they give envelopes, and then there's the money. And nothing's going into a paycheck. Because I feel like this is the same argument that people had when they said, well, we're going to do away with the minimum wage. And so now everybody's going to get paid $15 an hour. And bartenders, I especially feel out this way, if it ever went to that and they said, no more tips. We're not going to leave a line on the credit card bill. You're not supposed to take cash, nothing. You're going to get your $15 an hour. I guarantee you there'd probably be a mass exodus of bartending.
Yep.
Because you don't do this job for the paycheck. I do this job for the people and the cash. It's all about the cash at the end of the night. I can work one shift, whatever night it may be, and make $350 in cash and go home. And then I have my money in my hand. I don't do this job to get a paycheck at the end of the week after it's been taxed and cut down, and now all of a sudden my $350 a day moved to $185 a day because of all my taxes. And I would
Matt pays all of his taxes.
all of my taxes
At the end of the
all
year.
the time. I
Right.
pay them, or
Yep.
quarterly I'll pay them. But yes, it's that kind of. I don't think that other way works for your professionals.
Yep.
Like you said, your professional bartenders, your professional servers, and not that that you're a professional about it. It's just the fact that you do it for a reason. You're very good at your job, and this is why you've continued to do it for so many years, because you want that cash at the end of the night and get out of there.
Next question.
Okay, this one comes from Kelly Pugh, and we're a little late on this one. It says, we get dressed up for Halloween this week. Yeah, that's what it says. We get to dress up for Halloween this year. Fellow bartenders, what are some of your Halloween costumes?
Go ahead.
So did you guys dress up for Halloween?
We are typically closed on Halloween. It's one of our slowest nights that we have, so I haven't dressed up for Halloween in a long time. But when I was in my prime 20s, I was always as scantily clad as I could be to make as much money.
Me too.
So,
Same.
Yeah.
if Dad, you're listening, I didn't mean that at all.
And what did you go this year as?
Nothing this year. I've done it in the past, but I don't really feel like it this year. It's tough for me. I'm the only one there. I'm not going to just be the only asshole sitting in the bar with the costume on. So
Well, you're the only asshole in the bar anyway.
I know that, but I'm wearing my own uniform. So I was going to wear your Hawaiian shirt,
My
but
wife went as a pumpkin, and I went as Peter.
all right.
But
Dun, dun. We tap on the table. We can't.
Yeah,
No drums. No drum
Next question.
solos.
Okay, this comes from Shelby Ann, and it says, so if they change the rules to every check is auto gratuity for 18% at every place, would you be happy or would you stop serving?
That's tough. I think we've gone over this. Brenna and I have, and other business owners and I have gone over this. I feel that there's some place in town that do the right thing. Any party over 6 is instantly 18%. Because nowadays, just like we talked about, it's different now than it was 8 years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago. No one carries cash. No one carries cash. Everyone's just like, my card. And I'm not one of those people. I always carry cash on me. But it sucks because you get this 8 top that all order at the same time, all want this. They're like, oh, can I get, I want to get that drink. And then at the end of the night, it's like, can we split the check 8 ways?
And it's tough too because
But you know that's totally illegal to put on a fixed gratuity on a table, no matter how big it is.
Correct.
But you can guide them, but you can't force them. You can't force
No,
them.
no.
You can't force them to pay a 15 or 20% gratuity
Unless it's
just because it's a big table.
they didn't know that, Carl.
I know that.
Come on.
unless it's a function or it's set out ahead of time, any of those things. So if you rent a function, it
Correct.
was just like, so, you're going to run an open bar, but at the end of the night, this gratuity is included in it because we don't pay the server, blah, 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 all these other things, and that's okay. But yeah, you legally can't add the gratuity.
Right.
But I think so many times people, and especially now that if somebody does have cash, so it's 4 people out to dinner, 1 person has cash. It's like, oh, can we put cash down and split it on the other 3 cards? Now all of a sudden they're only tipping on their portion. They're not tipping on that
Right.
cash
That
that got
happened to
thrown
me
down.
today.
Yep.
But what about, I guess the question was, if the law said you could do it, and everybody was forced an 18% gratuity, would that be in your favor, or would you get hurt? Or is it, maybe it's right on the line?
I think it's right on the line because for me, I get Europeans or tourists that come in that don't tip a single thing, or I get regulars that come in and that have 3 beers and leave me $20. So it literally, I think it averages out.
Yeah, I'd say it's the same for me. I think I'd rather bet on myself than take the guaranteed 18.
Right, because then you could also suck as a bartender too, and
Yeah.
you
Right.
automatically have to give them.
And then it doesn't matter if you suck, because you're still going to get 18%.
Right, exactly.
Do you guys feel that when a check is split and you have some people paying cash and some people paying credit card, do you think you get tipped better than if
Less.
Oh,
Yeah,
really?
it's usually
Always
less.
less.
Always less. I will go as far, like when I'd have 3 people at the bar and then we'll split it 3 ways and 1 person pays in cash. So I run the other 2 credit cards. And so say the bill was $60 and the girl every girl supposed to give 30. So the girl in
It's always
cash,
the girls, man. It's always the girls.
the girl in cash gave $30 to cover her own check and then the tip. And then all the other girls just tip on what that bill says. So I will go on top of it and write what the bill was. So you get, when you get a standard printout of your bill, you have either everything that was on there or an abridged version, the line that it says you owe, maybe a tax line, a tip line, and then a signature
But
line.
wouldn't that add up anyway? So if you say
No.
you got 3 people at the bar and it's a $60 tab,
Right.
one girl pays cash for $30, which you're saying it's
So
different
now it
for
brings it
everybody
down
else. So you're not splitting it even 3 ways.
Just taking the cash
no,
out
but
and
so,
then...
so even
Yeah.
if I am, and say the girl that wants to pay cash, so it's $20 a girl, right? In this scenario,
Yep.
if it's $60, it's $20 a girl. The girl that leaves 30 wants to leave a $10 tip. Like maybe you went above
Right.
and beyond, you explained things, you
Right.
made her a special drink, whatever happened.
She thought you were cute?
It happens to you all the time.
I know.
That she leaves 30. Now, when you run those 2 credit cards, you're running those 2 credit cards for $15. What happens when they leave $3? So they leave 6 total after the cash has already been applied.
Maybe a question for another time, but why are you running for $15? She gave you 20 with a $10 tip. So
That's
when
the other
credit
two
card's
people.
It said, and they say this all. And how many times have you been handed cash and cards, and they say, "Cash
Cash
down,
first.
rest on the cards."
Gotcha.
Yep.
And that's what happens is that people don't immediately understand that that cash is taking your percentage down because
Because that includes the tip, but they
their
say
tip.
put 30
Right.
down
Yep.
on cash and then do it.
Because there's sometimes that
Yeah.
people actually hand you a $20 bill to pay their tab, and then they're saying, "Hey, here's $10 for you," and then they
Right.
give it to you separately. That's a different case. But
Right.
when somebody throws cash down and the other 2 throw cards, it's like, "Oh yeah, just the cash first and the rest on the card." And then they see, "Oh, $15, so
Right.
$3 is fine," and then you get a $6 tip on a $60 tab.
Right.
Even though one of the girls was trying to tip you $10.
The best thing, though, I've seen people do now when you get large groups is the invention of Venmo, where I can pretty much just text you money and then you put it all on your card. So one person's doing it. Like, it's might be the best thing I've ever seen in my life. It's so easy. Even Carl could figure it out. If they can make the letters big enough.
That could be their new commercial.
I think so.
So easy Carl could do it.
Yep. But I said, well, I've gone out with 15 people. We all did that. I'll
I just don't
Venmo
get
you.
why people can't be adults when you're in a small group. So there's 4
Yeah.
of us out to dinner.
Yeah.
And I don't understand why. Okay, we get the tab this time. Next time we go out, you guys pick up the tab.
Yep.
Right.
Or we'll split it between us, and the next time, like,
Or, yeah, and not so much me and my buddies, because I think we're a little older school than it happens there, but if we go out, there's 8 of us, and the tab's whatever it is.
$80.
Split down.
Everyone's throwing down $10.
Everybody's throwing down
Yep.
an equal amount. Doesn't matter if I got 2 beers and
Yeah.
you got 1, unless they say, you guys weren't drinking, we'll throw in a little bit more.
Right.
But, yeah, we've been to places where they're like, okay, who had and I only had the fish tacos with the...
I hate that.
Well, then ask for your own tab before you
Yep.
order. I'm sorry. Next question.
Preach.
Okay, the next question comes from Corey Watts. Do you allow servers at your restaurants to drop the check while people are still eating?
No.
No.
No, that's
Yeah.
the worst. Yeah?
No.
Yes.
All right, explain it.
Yeah, explain that.
What do you mean? You explain it.
Yeah, you're the one
I
that
don't
said
have an
yes.
explanation. I just have the question.
So somebody's eating and I'm dropping off the check.
Yeah.
I will do it if I have the intuition that those people are in a rush. And usually you can figure it out by the time that they're ordering. And they'll say, okay, we'll have a couple of beers, but we know what we want. And they'll say, and I want this, want that, want this. What I'll do is, before they're done, I'll drop off the check and I'll say, hey guys, we can always add to it, but I don't want you guys waiting on me if you guys are in a rush. And I'll drop it for them. But only if I feel that, you kind of get that.
I would only do it if they told me
And
that.
that's an outlier.
Right.
Yeah.
That's an outlier.
Yeah,
That's-
I mean, because I know people are like, oh, and we know what we want, and because you can tell they're in.
They're kinda
They're in
talking
and out.
about-
They're in a. They
They're
are
kind of
really
talking
in a
about
rush.
you're busy and you printed out the check for 15 in the corner and 14 still has some food left, but I'm just going to drop it anyway.
Right, that's either one that's a server trying to get out of there because they've been cut. So they were like, here you go, here's your check, guys. Or it's a server trying to flip a table. Being like, here you
Well,
go.
what about a
Get the
table
fuck
that you go
out.
to in, like, say it's a lunch table, and they got soda. Let's say they weren't drinking, just soda and lunch. And you went to check on them a couple times, saying, anything else? No, we're good. I'll drop off the check as they're finishing. I'll drop it. Say, okay, guys, so you're not waiting on me. I'll drop this off for you, but we can always add to it.
I always ask.
So yeah,
Yeah.
Before I even print it off, I ask. I'll go up to people that have just had, like you said, soda or water, and they've gotten
Yeah.
their meals, and they're still like,
Well, I'll say anything else, or you just want me to bring over the check, and they'll say, "Oh, the check is fine."
that's different
But I
than
will
just
bring that
dropping.
over.
Yep.
What
Right,
he's saying
I'll
is
bring that
just
over.
drop the check. They're eating and you just drop the
No, yeah, that's no, and you don't know if they're going to order anything else.
Right.
No, then I wouldn't drop
Yeah.
it. But I don't think it's a hard case. Next,
This one comes from Jenna Fulkerson. It says, so I just started a new restaurant about a month ago. Last night I dropped a couple of plates while I was bussing, and they both broke. Later my manager calls me into the office. She told me that she really should be charging me for the broken china, but she won't this time. Does anyone else's restaurant make you pay for broken dishes?
That's horrible.
I've watched a girl topple over a tower of just glasses, pint glasses, when I worked at Olive Garden and they didn't charge her, so no.
Yeah, no, that's
You
awful.
should-
Like, mistakes
no, but
happen.
there are restaurants that I went to, and I've talked to the bartenders, and they have to pay for every wine glass that they break.
Oh, I have a couple
Because
bartenders
it's
that would be screwed.
it's it's got the embossed
Right. You're working for
restaurant
free.
name on it and the
Logo,
whole
that
thing. And I was shocked. They're like, yeah, we have to take an inventory of all the wine glasses because we have to pay for the wine. And it might be a buck or two. It just depends on the cost of the glass.
It seems like a corporate thing.
I don't know. I mean, I've worked at corporate and they
Yeah,
get money to burn on that
it's-
stuff.
yeah.
I think it's more
So
of
I think the answer to that question was no. It was just a threat. In other words, hey, next time I'm going to charge
be
you.
more
this.
careful, I
And then
think.
next time it'll be, hey, I'm really going to charge you next
Right.
time.
a, yeah.
So no, I don't think they should charge her. Accidents happen.
absolutely
If
not.
she whipped them out a window and the window broke,
Yeah.
then you get a whole other thing.
They're like, Carl,
Damn it, Carl.
All right, this one comes from Kira Fox. It says, a server I work with told me that she tries to avoid selling alcohol due to her personal feelings about it. Is it just me, or does it seem wrong in a venue where our high margin ticket is booze?
Yeah, he's
Get out of
probably
the business.
he get a new job.
Get out of the business.
you know
Let her
what?
go.
But there's also like, I mean, we work with a person that doesn't drink, and people ask questions, and you're like, no, sorry, I personally don't drink. But if you have a question, here's so many other people that can answer it for you. Or
Well, I think it's the waitress is saying they don't like to take alcohol orders.
then, yeah, you need to.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's plenty of kids restaurants you can go work at. Chuck E. Cheese
Yeah,
is
Chuck E.
always
Cheese,
hiring.
right.
It's like saying that, you have an aversion to meat and you
Right,
work
that's
at
being a
the
vegan.
fucking butcher shop.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I don't want to sell this to you, so I'm not going to cut the meat for you.
Right.
Well, that's your job, so get a different job.
Yep. I don't drive cars,
Yep.
but so I don't want to sell you this car that I
We don't like
work.
that.
Yeah.
Next question.
You don't like the other person.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I don't like
Kira's fine.
Kira's
Kira can sell us booze whenever she wants. Other girl,
This
see
one's
ya.
Julia Clement. She says, "What's your favorite thing a customer has said to you?"
I love those. I love those. I love the people that come in and go, they order something and they go, yeah, but I'm gluten. I have a gluten allergy, so I can't have that.
I'm allergic to onions.
What do you have? What do you have on draft for IPAs? Gluten-free IPAs? No, just IPAs.
Yeah.
Well, you just told me you had a gluten allergy.
Well, they get a wheat beer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm an Allagash
Okay,
white, but
yeah,
no gluten for me,
okay.
and it's.
Didn't you have a guy that used to come in to the bar?
He used to come in and ask me for a milk stout that had no lactose in it. I said, why do you want a milk stout if you have a dairy aversion? He didn't say. He said allergy. I think it was an aversion, but I go, why would you want a milk stout then? Wouldn't you just want like a stout, an imperial stout, a coffee? It's like something different that doesn't have any lactose in it. Well, no, I know that certain ones don't actually use lactose, so I want those ones. And I'm like, you have a smartphone, sir. I can't tell you exactly. Within,
We've had vegans come in. Vegan. And we said, no, they're not. They said, that's all right. We like them, so we'll get them anyway.
I've had
Okay.
people like, I can't get like the bourbon steak tips because my kid's not old enough to drink. Dude.
that's not how that
Yeah,
works.
it's not. Yeah. Do you think you're gonna waste it off these steak tips? I mean,
It's like fish and chips. That's like beer battered fish. Oh, a kid can't have that. He's only 18. He's not
Yep.
21
Yeah.
yet. Sir,
do you have to
know
check
how
his
that works?
ID? Yes.
What about
I don't know. There's just so many.
But next question.
It's actually last call.
Last call.
Last call question.
You have to say last call.
last
Let's
call?
go.
All right, so on last call, we go around the room. You can say anything you want about anything you want. We're just finishing up the podcast.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
So I will start. Carl Heine from the New World Tavern, downtown Plymouth. Come on in. Great beer, great food, great atmosphere. Want to thank Lucioso's Pub for having us tonight. Come on down, again, in downtown Plymouth. Great food, great beer. You can email us at bartalkcast@gmail.com or on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at bartalk. And all to you, Dan.
My name's Dan Mahoney, and thank you as always for listening, and thanks for not kicking me off the couch, guys, because I'm never leaving. Thank you, Matt and Brenna. I reversed it this time, so Matt felt special.
Thank you. You look like Costanza on that couch, by the way.
Right?
Underwear, flexing, like it's nice.
I mean, I had a bathrobe, but it was dirty, so.
I was thinking more like Al Bundy, but go ahead.
Either one. You know, shoes for life. Come down downtown. I mean, we have plenty of awesome bars. I mean, catch Pillory before they close. Come see Matt at Dillon's. Maybe you'll see Karl at my bar.
probably at your bar or at Brenna's.
Yeah.
For 14 more days.
Or you can just yell out on the street at him. That's usually what we all do. But yeah, thanks for listening.
Yeah, Brenna Beane from Pillory Pub. Thank you so much for inviting us. It's been fun and exciting and different for me. But yeah, so Pillory's closing in 2 weeks, but come and see us in April. We've got a lot of awesome craft beer coming, some insane different food coming for next season, so I'm excited.
All right, Matt Beane from Dillon's Local. It's going to be weird for everybody listening because I actually want to praise Karl.
Whoa.
Right.
How drunk are you?
Well, he paid me a lot of money for this.
Oh, okay.
So this is
$20.
Yep. No, I think Karl, you do a great job on this. You do an amazing job at your restaurant.
Thank you.
I was lucky enough to work for Karl way back when. I think he cares about his staff a lot, cares about the business itself, and is a great person to work for.
I'm still not buying the round.
I know. And I think he just does things the right way, and I don't think... I know that we all like to pick on you sometimes, and I think that it's nice to actually tell you what we think of you sometimes, which is not radio appropriate.
Yeah.
Good thing this is the internet.
Ooh,
It's like,
say
I do
whatever
that
I want.
every
Yeah,
day.
wait, hold on. Can we rewind and just pull that back? No, seriously, Karl, you're a great guy. Thank you for everything. It's been a pleasure. Thank you for inviting us.
Carl, are you dying?